Lieutenant Governor, you ready down there?
Yes, sir.
You turn up your volume a little bit. You got it?
You hear me now, Governor? You hear me, Governor?
Got you now. All right. Good morning, everyone. What is the date today? 10th? All right. I want to welcome everybody and call to order for the April 10th of 23, 9:30 a.m. NDOT board meeting. Can I have the clerk call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Governor. Governor Joe Lombardo.
Present.
Lieutenant Governor Stavros Anthony.
Here.
Controller Andy Matthews.
Here.
Member Virginia Valentine. We see you. Member Stephen Esquaga.
Here.
Member Justin Kalb.
Here.
And Member Gary Perea.
Here.
Thank you, Governor. You have a quorum.
Can Virginia hear us? Okay. All right, that'll close section 1. Moving on to section 2, public comment. The first public comment is limited to comments on items on the agenda. No action may be taken upon matters raised under public comment period unless the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an action item. And there will be a 3-minute time limit. Do we have any public comment to the south? Cannot hear you.
Sorry, Justin, we can't hear you.
Not working.
We do not.
Do we have any here to the north?
We have one public comment that was submitted on Friday before 4 p.m. It is in the public, it's in the public record.
Did you guys receive that?
That one was sent out.
Okay, yep, I received it. Nobody here in public? Mr. Wellman, you want to speak? All right, we'll close public comment. Moving on to agenda item number 3, presentation of award for aviation safety.
Is Lana
Sergeant?
here? Lana Buller? You would like to come up?
Good morning, Governor Lombardo and distinguished guests. My name is Lana Bowler, and I'm the manager of the Federal Aviation Administration's Reno Flight Standards District Office. I am here with my colleagues, Russell Parker and Larry Cheek, who are FAA Safety Program Managers. So the FAA Safety Team mission is to lower the nation's aviation accident rate by conveying safety principles and practices through training, outreach, and education while establishing partnerships and encouraging the continual growth of a positive safety culture within the aviation community. I think, as we all know, the aviation sector is growing fast and will continue to grow. As such, safety in aviation needs to remain a priority focus. These two gentlemen here are the only FAA safety program managers for Northern Nevada and the western part of Northern California. Because of that, the FAA safety team representatives play a crucial role in helping them promote safety in the aviation industry here. The representatives are industry volunteers who actively promote safety, and without them, we, as the FAA, would be significantly hindered without the amount of outreach that they provide with us. Russ Smith is an outstanding example of an FAA safety team representative and a pilot that inspires others to emulate his professionalism and ability. His passion and dedication over the past 9 years as an FAA safety representative for increasing aviation safety within the Northern Nevada area is truly inspiring. And with that, we at the FAA would like to present Mr. Smith a certificate of appreciation for his passion and dedication in working with us. Thank you very much.
Since we have another award also for Mr. Smith. Yeah, we have another award for Mr. Smith, so if you'll just stand up here.
Recognition for lifelong involvement has earned you FAA.
Thank you very much. Everybody that's involved, I have no idea what was going on this morning.
We got another one. Hold on, Russ. We got
You're not done yet.
I'm not done
You're
yet.
not done yet.
I didn't know there was another one.
Needed it.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Brian Howard. I'm the commander of the Nevada wing of the Civil Air Patrol for the United States Air Force Auxiliary, which I will say Colonel Smith is also a member. And it's my distinct honor to also recognize him with an award today for 50 years of dedicated service to the Civil Air Patrol. So, sir, thank you very much.
Or that uniform. All right, we'll be moving on. We'll close agenda item number 3, move on to agenda item number 4. Receive the director's report. Director Larkin.
All right, thank you and good morning, everybody. We'd like to start off, you have the next slide. So first, we'd like to thank the governor for making our guys clean up into clean shirts and clean our equipment so we could do the opening, the signing for AB 268 for the state employee bonuses. And this is the bill that provides the first 2 $500 installments of the proposed 2000 annual bonuses for state employees. It's a big first step and thank you. Now just a quick update on traffic safety. Some good news, we've seen almost a 19% drop in fatal crashes statewide. And speeding and impairment remain the leading contributors to the crash, but this is a trend we hope will continue through the year. Next slide. Next week is National Work Zone Awareness Week, an annual campaign held at the start of construction season to encourage safe driving through road zones. The AGC and NDOT are partnering together in a work zone safety working group led by NDOT's Deputy Director Jeff LaRude and the 3 district engineers across the state. This effort is just kicking off and it'll be kicking off in the next few weeks. We invite the board and the public to join us on a week-long commemoration, including wearing orange on Wednesday, April 19th for Go Orange Day. We'll send out a tweet. And there'll be other activities across the nation this week, capped off by a moment of silence observed on Friday, the 21st, to remember those who have been lost in work zones. Now, to talk about wrong-way driver alerts, this has been something we've been working on for several years, and we've done several pilots across northern Nevada. But we now have a couple more projects going on in both northern and southern Nevada, and that they use radar technology to detect wrong-way drivers and then activates a series of flashing signs and sends a short video clip of the vehicle to law enforcement and to the RTC FAST in southern Nevada. We've installed at 37 locations in Nevada for a 3-year study, and it's confirmed that nearly 85% of the time the detection system worked, and we were able to turn around the vehicle before it entered the freeway. So that's a pretty good return rate. In mid-May, construction will start at 4 new interchanges in southern Nevada, I-15 and Star Avenue, as well as U-95 at Kyle Canyon, Sky Canyon, and Durango in the Northwest Valley. It would be a little sooner. We do have some supply chain issues, so it's been delayed slightly to May. And then we'll also be installing wrong-way driver detection systems on the I-580 ramps here in Carson City. It's actually a pretty good detection part. A few project updates on the I-15. We're well into phase 2 of the project. Crews are prepping to rebuild the north half of the Tropicana overpass and the new half interchange on the south side of Harmon. The north half of the Tropicana bridge and the half interchange at Harmon are expected to be completed this fall. And next month, the crews will begin to install the first of 10 new automated traffic management signs, or ATMs, that are going up as part of this project. And this will require some overnight closures of one direction of I-15 south of Tropicana. They will be limited, though. We are monitoring the traffic control very closely at this interchange. We have had some confusion with it, so we keep going back in and adjusting it each time to help avoid any error. We expect Tropicana will need to be closed over I-15 for one overnight period, approximately every 6 weeks, to just refresh striping, signage, and pavement markings. I-15 units 95, Charleston. This work continues here to add an additional lane in each direction of the freeway around the Charleston curve. And then we did just wrap up a 30-day closure of the ramp from Charleston to northbound I-15. And what that really is, now we are doing a 30-day closure of the ramp from southbound I-15 to Charleston. And each of the ramps will of the interchange get a complete rebuild as what part of the project. And we'll cycle through each one. In Summerlin, we have a pair of projects on the Summerlin Parkway in West Las Vegas, and that started in late February. And they're making several improvements to safety, mobility, landscaping, and aesthetics along the corridor between Buffalo Drive and the 215. We are resurfacing and repairing the roadway. There's some curb ramp upgrades, replacement of overhead signs, new LED striping, improved barrier rails, and upgraded signals for the drivers. Work is scheduled to be completed in August. And then also, just so you notice, there's a lot of trees that were lost due to a beetle infestation. So they will be taken down and then replaced as we move along there. The Pyramid Highway public groundbreaking. We will launch the first phase of Pyramid Highway widening next month. And we're widening 1.5 miles of Pyramid Highway from Queenway to Los Altos Parkway. And we're reconstructing approximately 1 mile of the existing 4-lane roadway from Los Altos to Golden View Drive. The construction protected a 10-wide shared use path and a 5-foot wide bike lane from Queensway to Golden View Drive. It also includes installation of raised medians, smart traffic signals and sidewalk, bicycle lanes, sound walls, and some enhanced lighting and drainage infrastructure. We will be hosting both virtual and in-person public meetings. The virtual meeting option is anytime from April 10th to 21 at pyramidhighway.com. So just exactly like it's spelled, pyramidhighway.com. And then the next in-person meeting is next Tuesday on April 18th from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Sepulveda, I don't know if I said that right, Elementary School in Sparks. And the formal presentation will be held at 4:30. And this project is in partnership with the RTC Commission of Washoe County and the Federal Highway Administration, along with Washoe County, the city of Sparks, and other regional stakeholders. Now a little update just kind of on the flooding now that we seem to be warming up a little bit and we're getting hopefully past the snow stage. What you're seeing here, this is part of in southern Nevada. On the washed out roadway to the left and to the bottom is SR 322 that's out by Pioche. And then also the bridge that's showing is out by Caliente. And we're showing this just to kind of show the kind of damage that we are getting across the state. As I said before, we're not having like one major catastrophe in one spot. We are having a lot of minor to medium catastrophes across the state. So we'll be working throughout the spring to go over that. And then these next couple of slides is just to show the snowpack. We are watching, we're working with our partners across the state, really watching where the peak is. So here's in the Carson area, we have 273% of snowpack. So that's a lot of water to come down. We can see where the median peak is. And if you go onto so that's the highest water year on record. And so we'll be looking across Douglas and Churchill counties for spring flooding. And also the Bureau of Reclamation is drawing down from the Lahontan Reservoir, Lake Lahontan. And the TCID out in Fallon is really enlarging the Big Dig bypass, which basically they have put in additional undercrossings underneath the highway to allow more water to flow out into the desert. On the next one we're showing is Central Nevada, where we have 296% of median peak. And this is in the desert basins, southern. This is really going to hit a lot of the small streams and creeks. So just generally overall in there. And then the last one on flooding is showing the Walker River area. And that is, again, 296 of the median peak. And it is also the highest water year on record. And so we're looking at potential flooding on the Walker River in Mason and Smith valleys. So I know you've been kept updated on almost everything across the state, but it's just kind of saying that we're not through it yet, but we're working very closely with TCID, the Walker River group, and looking down in there. The Walker River Irrigation Group is drawing down Bridgeport and the Topaz reservoirs, and that's to make more space for the reservoir. I'm sorry, for the snow melt.
So for the record, Governor Lombardo, so Tracy, on reference that, I heard you didn't mention Eureka or White Pine.
We just
Is
showed,
NDOT void of that? Is that strictly FEMA effort? Or
we're not avoiding it by any stretch.
No, I said void, not
Oh,
avoid.
oh, sorry. I'm sorry, I heard that wrong. We are watching it closely. We have been getting regular reports from law enforcement out there and also from our District 3 engineer. So we're watching it, seeing where it's going.
So it's not a roadway issue, it's more of a reservoir.
It's more of a reservoir, but it has overtopped the roadway there. So we'll be checking along to see for undermining along the edge of the roadway. And again, just watching where it has crossed over to see if there's any damage at that point. At the last one, it was about halfway across the road when I looked at it a few weeks ago. And right now, like I said, it's irregularly inspected just to make sure that it's safe to continue on. But we have a number of emergency contracts out for immediate repairs. And then there'll be a number of more repairs going out as the year progresses.
Okay. And then can we do a back up a little bit? Can you go back to this slide, wrong way slide?
Mm-hmm.
I noticed I-80 is missing there. Didn't we just recently have a wrong way fatality on I-80 last week?
We've had a number of wrong way fatalities across the state.
Is there some reason why that's not listed as an area we need to pay attention to?
Governor, Darren Tedford, Deputy Director, for the record, we started the study of the wrong way driver system in the north. So we have a pretty extensive system established already. in the north, and what you see on the screen is our expansion to the south as needed. We've identified every interchange in the state as what type of wrong-way driver system it might need, and then started to prioritize to install those systems.
Thank you.
And we'll continue to keep moving on those. They're definitely, like I said, with about an 85% rate of success. It's definitely one of the major tools that we use. And then we were just going to wrap up. Is there any more
Let me
questions?
see if there's any more questions. Do any other board members have questions of the director? Reference the director's report? Hearing
now-
none?
We'd like to recognize Cecilia. Cecilia, are you in the audience?
She didn't make it?
Well, then we would like to recognize her for her 25 years of service at NDOT and basically wish her a great
Is she still
retirement.
on the payroll? She didn't make it?
No, she actually retired December 1st,
Oh,
2022,
okay.
and then
All right.
coming in. She retired with 25 years of state service, all with NDOT. She started as an engineering technician in Las Vegas, transferred to a construction crew in Carson City, and eventually came to the construction division at headquarters. She was a major component of the transition to electric construction administration system, and she assisted with the development and deployment of the system, as well as authoring the use of guides and manuals, and performed the statewide training for all the users. Anyway, she's also worked in the materials division in Las Vegas. She worked in Sparks. She got around the state pretty well. Also a Carson City crew, and then the construction division administration. She retired as a supervisor 3 associate engineer in construction, very dedicated to work and would be counted on. So she will be missed. So I'd just like to give her a round of applause. And that concludes my director's report.
Can we forward her the email of your presentation there?
We will.
All right, thank you. All right, any questions for any board members, the director? If not, I'll close agenda item number 4 and move on to agenda item number 5, consideration of approval of the March 13, 23 Nevada Department of Transportation Board of Directors meeting minutes for possible action. Do we have any questions reference the meeting minutes? If not, can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Governor, this is member Justin Kelb. I need to abstain. I wasn't at the meeting last month.
Go ahead, Steve.
I'd like to make
Oh,
a
it was
motion
Gary.
to go ahead and approve the March 13th minutes.
All right.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? Hearing none, the motion passes. Moving on to agenda, or section 2, consent agenda, items 6 through 19. We will take as one item under consent. Or is there any board members that have any concerns with deletions and or any items taken separately? Any to the south? Seeing none, hearing none? You hear? Gary? Nope. All right, can I have a motion? Do I need one? I know.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items number 6 through 19.
We have a second.
Second, Controller Matthews.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any against? Hearing none, motion passes. All right, we'll move on to, that's the end of the consent agenda. We'll move on to section 3, items taken separately from the consent agenda. Do we have any items?
Yes, we have one item, which will be the HOV report, so lane designation, and that will be presented by the Deputy Director, Darren.
Go ahead, Darren.
Thank you, Governor and members of the board. Item number 20 on the agenda. I have a presentation, and thank you for the time. NDOT's activities are guided by the goals of the One Nevada Transportation Plan and the many related performance measures which have been established, approved regularly by the board, and submitted annually to the legislature. Several of these goal areas and performance measures relate to moving vehicles around our communities in a safe and efficient manner. The department worked with the RTC of Southern Nevada and the other local agencies to develop a plan for moving traffic into the future. Realizing that perpetually widening the interstate through the Las Vegas Valley was not fiscally nor practically possible, the High Occupancy Vehicle, or HOV plan, was created. This plan addresses the need to carry an increasing number of residents and tourists on our limited highway system. In accordance with 5 out of 6 of our goal areas, including optimizing mobility, enhancing safety, and fostering sustainability, the HOV plan addresses the future needs of a highway system that must support our expanding community. The HOV plan looks into the future to anticipate traffic growth, which will travel on our roads. The HOV plan is also an acknowledgement that we can't continue to widen our freeways as the population continues to grow. The current HOV system has been built over time, as shown in these general phases. As part of Project Neon, express lanes on I-15 were converted to HOV lanes, and the HOV flyover bridge connected the lanes on 95 to I-15, eliminating the need to exit the HOV lane and merge with general purpose traffic. The most recent addition is a portion of the Tropicana project, constructing HOV direct access ramps at Harmon Road. Future plans for the HOV system include areas of high traffic volumes and areas of anticipated high growth. Among these are west on Summerlin and south, where development in Henderson is growing towards I-15. Emphasized by connection of the HOV system on 95 to the express lanes on I-15, the current HOV system has several significant challenges. The current study of HOV lanes by the department is attempting to accurately measure the number of cars violating the 2+ requirement. This measurement will inform the need for additional enforcement. While we know that Nevada State Police have important responsibilities in the Valley, enforcement is a significant part of a functional HOV system. The current HOV study is also looking at the effects of moving from 24-hour to limited hours, currently 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. The department has the ability to further revise the hours and continue to analyze the traffic flow. As requested, the department has developed and analyzed 3 options for the future of the HOV system in Las Vegas. Option 1 is to convert the HOV lanes to general purpose lanes, which would be open to all traffic. Option 2 is to convert the HOV system to express lanes. These lanes would be open to all with limited access in and out. Option 3 is to further reduce the hours of 2+ occupants and work with law enforcement to improve compliance. In this analysis, the department contacted the FHWA for requirements and consequences of each option. In more detail, option 1 would seek to convert the HOV lanes to general purpose lanes. Per direction from the FHWA, this option would require the department to analyze the environmental effects of this conversion. This analysis is commonly referred to as a NEPA study. The National Environmental Policy Act is part of a federal code, and it requires the department to look at the impacts of a proposed change to the highway system, including in the areas of traffic noise impacts, air quality, and environmental justice and equity. It also requires public stakeholder and outreach and public comment periods. The FHWA requirements also include analysis of the possibility of the new traffic configuration degrading the operation of the system. This includes the impacts of the HOV interchanges at Elkhorn, Harmon, and the Neon Gateway interchange. A full NEPA study can take from 3 to 7 years to perform. Based on this type of a change, it is anticipated that this study may take 18 to 24 months. This will include developing a preliminary design, hiring a consultant to perform the outreach, lead the analysis, and develop the report. This report would then go to the FHWA for possible approval. Under option 2, express lanes would be open to all with limited access in and out. These openings would be similar to the HOV entrances and exits which are currently in place. Some modifications would be possible based on the new use of the lanes. As indicated by the FHWA, the change to express lanes would require the same type of study as option 1. Option 3 is to reduce the hours of operation to allow use by all motorists in the non-peak times. These hours can be reduced by changing the physical and electronic signs. Other states have gone through this process of optimizing hours of operation. The suggestion would be to establish hours, for example, 6 to 9 a.m. and 4 to 7 p.m., or 7 to 9 a.m. and 5 to 7 p.m., to continue to monitor traffic for efficiency and safety. The optimum times for HOV lanes will balance the use of the lanes by all vehicles in non-peak hours and the function of the HOV interchanges during the busy periods. The department's recommendation is to move forward with option 3. This option will reduce and optimize the hours of operation. Option 3 can be implemented as soon as signs are printed, fast center computers are reprogrammed, and installation of new signs is coordinated. Reduced hours may allow for our limited enforcement capacity to be focused during shorter time periods. It will also allow for the future use of the HOV system as our community continues to grow, and it will allow for full use of all interchanges that have been constructed. Thank you for your time. We're happy to address any questions.
All right, is there any question from any board members on item number 20?
Yes, Governor.
Yes, go ahead.
Gary Perea for the record. I'm basically in favor of the option 3. I think that's a good starting point. My one concern is, and moving forward with the studies, is to make sure that we cover emergency vehicle usage, being able to make sure that emergency vehicles have access. And I know they use HOV lanes in the past to be able to get to scenes quickly. And I want to make sure that that's not inhibited.
Do you want to comment on that?
Yes, thank you, Darren Tedford, for the record. That would be part of our coordination with the TIM Coalition, the Traffic Incident Management Coalition, that's extensive, and the Freeway Surface Patrol in Las Vegas, that's also extensive. So as part of any changes we would make, we would include that in the ongoing study that we have going. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, Governor, this is Controller Matthews. I just had a quick question. You mentioned that with option 3, this could be implemented quickly, just pending a few steps, changing signage and a couple of other things. Do you have a general time estimate for what we might be looking at in terms of how long that might take? Thank you.
Darren Tedford for the record. I'd say within a month, depending on the coordination with our district maintenance folks, we could have new signs printed. NDOT has 2 sign shops where we can make smaller scales, such as these fixed signs that we have in Las Vegas. We have one in Vegas and one in Sparks, so we could do that within a month. Really, the coordination, set up the traffic control timing. When we previously switched it, it was in October, and our district forces did that over the course of 2 evenings in mid-October.
All right, thank you.
So I had a couple questions, Governor Lombardo, for the record. So is there a study currently in place for Northern Nevada for consideration of HOV?
Darren Tedford for the record. No, Governor, currently we're not looking at HOV in the north. That's mainly due to the number of lanes that we have available and the traffic volumes. So if you're picturing the freeways in Las Vegas, there's a large number of lanes. There's also a large amount of traffic. But to be able to take one of the 3 through lanes that we have for HOV in the north, it makes it not feasible now. It'd have to be based on widening in the future.
Okay. And then the second question is, part of option 3, you alluded to improve enforcement. Has there been discussion with Nevada State Police?
So Darren Tedford for the record, based on direction from the board, that would be one of our first steps after coordinating changing, if a change is directed. The next steps would be coordinating with state police to understand the enforcement windows being shorter and the possibility of their limited resources maybe being directed during those time periods. That was our thought about possible increased enforcement.
Any other questions?
Going right, just one comment and I think option 3 does make a lot of sense. I think with the approvals with FHWA on the others also point me more to this option. I was just gonna say, are there weekend hours for the HOV or is it just midweek?
Darren Tedford, for the record, that hasn't been decided. If the board directed the department to implement reduced hours, whether specific or not, that could be included in the motion, or it could be explored by NDOT in our current traffic study that's going on.
Answer. Yeah. All right, so we have an agenda 20 on the table. Do we need to make a motion? Lieutenant Governor, are you gonna make a stab at it?
Yes, absolutely, Governor. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, before I make the motion, I just want to put a couple of things on the record. So everybody knows I'm not a big fan of HOV lanes. I've been talking about them when I was on the Las Vegas City Council and also when I was on the Regional Transportation Commission and you know, spending a lot of time talking to the public. I think I'm with the public on this, that really HOV lanes are really not needed. Most of the public wants to drive these lanes. They paid for them and they're not really interested in having these HOV lanes. And I think I think the most important point is if you look at the reason why we put HOV lanes in 20 years ago and why they're put in certain places across the country, it's really to change behavior, to change driving behavior, where somebody calls up their friend and says, hey, let's get together this morning. We'll leave my car in the driveway. We'll take your car and we'll double up so we can use the HOV lane to go to work or to go to the store or to go somewhere. And I guarantee you nobody's doing that. I can safely say nobody is doing that, which means that the HOV lanes are not really changing driving behavior in order to reduce the number of vehicles on the road. So what we have today is we have HOV lanes that are 24/7, and the people that are using them are, number one, people that are already doubled up, truck drivers, landscapers, anybody that's already has 2 or 3 people in their vehicle, they're using the HOV lane. And then the other people that are using them are single drivers that are just basically saying, to heck with it, I got to get to work or I got to get to school, so I'm going to get in the HOV lane and use it and hope I don't get caught. So it's really causing, it's not being used the way it's supposed to be being used, and it's really causing people to break the law when they're trying to get someplace safely. So these HOV lanes have never been used the way they were supposed to be. They've never been used to change behavior. So when I was elected lieutenant governor, I met and I became a member of this board. I met with Director Larkin to talk to her about these HOV lanes. She was a new director and I was new on the board. And I really appreciate her support in getting me the information and getting the board the information to make a decision about HOV lanes moving forward in the future. And she spent time with the federal government. She laid out these options. And I think she's done a good job of providing us the information that we need to make a decision. So we basically have 3 options. Option 2, the express lanes. I don't think those are a good idea. We tried those in the past. They were very confusing. They had these plastic pillars, these little pillars on the roadway. People were driving over them because they didn't know what to do. So that's not a good option. My My personal option is to go with, is just to get rid of the HOV lanes, but as you can see, it's a little bit more problematic and it's a little bit more challenging to really eliminate HOV lanes because there are some steps that we have to go through. And, you know, I appreciate Director Larkin laying those out. We have a letter from the federal government expressly laying those out, so there is no confusion about whether a community such as ours wants to get rid of HOV lanes. So it really comes down to option 3, and that is the one that that I support, and I appreciate the board members weighing in, and it sounds like they are all interested in option 3 also. So based on that, I am ready to make a motion, Governor, when you're ready.
Are you sure you're ready?
I'm ready now.
Yes.
All right.
Is your motion, is it an attempt to take option 3 as the recommended item?
Yeah, and I want to be a little bit more specific. So my motion is to reduce the hours of HOV lanes in, well, it's basically Southern Nevada, from 6 to 8 in the morning and 4 to 6 in the afternoon, just 2 hours, Monday through Friday. So that will be the first part of my motion. HOV lanes from 6 to 8, 4 to 6 in the morning, the afternoon, Monday through Friday, and have NDOT put that in place in the next 30 days. And then my second, the second part of that motion is to ask or direct NDOT to go through the process that's outlined in option 1 with the federal government to do the study. It's going to take 18 to 24 months and bring that information back to this board to decide whether we want to move forward concerning the federal government and take a look at eliminating HOV lanes permanently. But I don't think that, well, we really can't do that today. And I think the board needs all the information that is available for us to move forward with the federal government to do that. And that's going to, like I said, take 18 to 24 months. So that is my motion, Governor.
Is the legal counsel here? So in consideration of his motion and board member Esquaga, I thought there was a study needed to take place on the hours.
Governor Darren Tedford, for the record, per that motion, we could implement these hours and our study could analyze if they're appropriate based on traffic volumes.
So Lieutenant Governor, question to you. Do you want to define the hours in the motion or do you want to implement upon the conclusion of the study?
Actually, I think 6 to 8 and 4 to 6. It used to be 6 to 9 and 4 to 7 before they went to 24/7. So we already have the background on that, and I believe we can reduce it down to 1 hour or 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. That's always been the peak time, and I believe NDOT has already decided that by having those as the HOV hours in previous times. So I believe reducing them by 1 hour is appropriate.
Okay.
And from what I heard from Director Larkin, they can do that immediately, or at least the next 30 days. They can go ahead and do that with board approval. And then as far as closing them down completely, that will give them a lot of time to do that study and then bring back to the board whether we want to shut them down permanently. So that's what that's my understanding from Director Larkin, and that's why that's the motion.
Okay. And then on the second question is, do we need to include the study, the independent study with the feds as part of that motion? Can't the board just direct the NDOT to do that on its own without a motion?
Well, that would be an item of action, so you would need to have a motion and a vote on that. but they could be taken separately if that's.
Yeah, let's
concern
do
for
that, Lieutenant Governor. If you're okay with that, let's make it two separate items.
Okay, all right, so my first motion will be to reduce the hours of operation of our HOV lanes in Nevada from 6 to 8 in the AM, 4 to 6 in the PM, Monday through Friday, and that have that implemented in the next 30 days.
All right, we have a motion. Is there any concerns or before we take a vote? Any board
Governor,
members?
this is Member Justin Kalb. I just have a question for you. Am I understanding correctly that we're making the motion is for the 4 hours that we discussed, and then NDOT is still performing research to verify that those hours are the correct hours, or how are we proceeding?
Well, there's two separate studies they're doing. So we're going to do two separate motions, Justin. First is the approval of option 3 with the identified hours. So we would take a vote on that, and then we'll have further discussion on, because it sounds like he wants two studies conducted. One is the viability of those 2 hours, whether that's appropriate. And then the second one is complete elimination, whether that's appropriate.
Governor, if I may.
Sure.
I just want to note that we do have an existing study that is going currently.
Oh, okay.
active. So it's about 3 months into it, and it was to look at the establishing the hours, or what would be the most appropriate hours. There is no problem in reducing the hours, looking down, as Darren had put forward.
Yeah, but if you
Without-
have an existing study, why reinvent the wheel if the study's in conflict with the reduced hours?
I think what the Lieutenant Governor is asking is that then we do it's a full,
Yeah, I
we go
understand.
forward with a separate motion that would opt for option 1.
How long is the existing study going to take before you have an answer?
It should be about another year.
Oh, another year. Okay.
Is that, I'm double checking with Darren.
Governor,
He's been
All
running.
right, that's something we could bring back to the board at a later date with the fruition of the study. So, Justin, I guess the first motion will be for the reduced hours under option 3.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
So you want to do that one more time, Stavros?
Yes, I make a motion that we immediately or in the next 30 days, depending on how NDOT can move, to reduce the hours of operation for the HOV lanes in Nevada from 6 to 8 a.m. To 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Those would be the hours of operation for the HOV lanes.
All right. Any other questions by any board members? We have a motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, so let's take a stab at the second motion.
Thank you, Governor. My second motion will be that we continue on with option 1, which is to continue on with a study that will take from 18 to 24 months in order to comply with the federal government's requirements that we do this study, and then bring that study back to the board to take a look at and decide whether we want to move forward with taking that study to the federal government. And then in addition to that, as has been mentioned a couple times, there is a current study going on, and we'll just continue that current study, and any information that comes back in that study that may have an impact on our HOV lane system, we can bring that to the board to make any particular adjustments in the near future. So we have those 2 studies that I would like to continue on, and that will be my motion.
Is that good? Or do we need to condense it?
I think he's now made it more complicated than it should be. The second,
Okay, all right, okay. I'll make a motion that we continue on with the option 1 and study whether we need to move forward with eliminating HOV lanes. That study will be brought back to the board for discussion before we move forward with it. Is that good?
Yep.
I got a nod. Very good. Okay.
Lieutenant Governor.
Any other questions of of the motion, Gary?
Yeah, Governor, this is Gary Perea. I just want to make sure as we move forward that we don't put federal funding in jeopardy and moving in the future. Whatever we do, we need to make sure that we're not crossing that line.
Darren, any comment on his comment?
We'll make sure that's one of our main priorities, Governor.
Okay. And I know that Gary, that was considered during the options under consideration, so point taken. All right, we have a motion available. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those any against? Not hearing none, motion passes. And I believe that closes agenda item 20. All right, we'll move on to item number 21, executive session. Do we have anything for the executive session?
There is no need.
Okay, no need, we'll close that. And move on to agenda item number 22, public comment. A period devoted to comments by the general public about matters relevant to the board's jurisdiction will be held. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Do we have any public comment to the south? Still not working, but I see you're saying no.
No one in the South, Governor.
Okay. Do we have any public comment to the north? Yes, ma'am. Please come forward and identify yourself.
Good morning, Elizabeth Learnhardt, Safford Cove. I'm coming here to remind you about the Highway 50 East Shore Plan. There is a concurrent resolution in the Assembly that would fund a lot of these things that TARPA and TTD want to do up there. So I feel I have to remind you that as much as I agree that the improvements are necessary and appreciated up at Highway 50, when it comes to the East Shore, a bike lane is not part of it. Since 89% of the Tahoe Basin is public land, there should be no problem finding a conflict-free solution for a bike path far away from busy federal highways. Given that there are 600 miles of bike paths or hike paths in the basin, according to TARPA, I do not see the necessity to take lanes away from Highway 50 and make a 2-lane road out of a 4-lane road. When it comes to improving commerce, causing gridlock and congestion on the highway will certainly not benefit local business. When it comes to improving the safety, as NDOT has stressed in the reach out sessions, their own data clearly states that 4-lane roads are safer than 2-lane roads. As a matter of fact, 9 times safer. But surprisingly, that's not being acknowledged. And this data was recently removed from their webpage. The other problem with mixing pedestrians, bikers, and motor vehicles is user conflict. Intersections are the 3rd cause of fatalities in Nevada. 25% of fatal crashes are pedestrian crashes, with 40% occurring close to crosswalks or sidewalks. These statistics should be self-evident. But if you need a practical course on how this plays out, come visit the State Line casinos on a holiday weekend, because there's plenty of that going on then. So why propose more of these casualties by placing pedestrians and bikers next to Highway 50? As to safety, the #1 concerns of residents is fire evacuation. We all remember Caldor Fire and the long lines and hours it took to leave the basin. Highway 50 was the main escape route. We do not want to repeat the same scenario as the town of Paradise in California in 2008 showed, where 85% persons were burned alive in their cars being overtaken by the flames, and only 2 years after the town implemented the road diet. Why is NDOT planning more outreach, as I heard? These basic facts are not going to change. Get creative and find another solution. The TARPA Cascade to Meeks Trail shows that it is possible. I've been listening to them and their meeting, and it's very creative. And what about a post-impact study? The Sand Harbor to Incline Trail doesn't seem to be making everybody happy either. Does it really decrease motor vehicle traffic? The residents in Inclines don't think so. You just have to listen to their recent public comment to TARPA. It just redirects the parking to their neighborhoods in Mill Creek because the Bonanza lot overflows. So it takes a lot more than just wanting to, quickly repave and restripe. I appreciate your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment?
I just wanted to acknowledge that we had received a comment from Ms. Learnhardt also earlier last week. So it will be in your public record.
I don't know, so not seeing any other public comment, but I'd like to make a comment at this section. So to go back to the HOV piece, I'm not reopening the agenda item. I'm gonna give further direction on the existing study. Can we get some deployment numbers from state police and hours of operation within that study to ensure that enforcement makes a difference?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 23 upon closing 22 for adjournment. Anybody make a motion? How come one meeting I do, the next meeting I don't? I'll make a motion. I make a motion to adjourn. Thank you.
Aye. Aye.